And it's just like a boa constrictor. Go blue. We're back for Michigan Post-Game Live. My name is John Diadamo. You can find me on Twitter at John Diadamo, and I'm going to take you through the next 30 minutes or so for Michigan Post-Game Live. Dre can't join us today, so we're going to do a call-in show. Please call in and give your take on the barn burner that was Michigan versus the Indiana Hoosiers, 52-7. Folks, as you're coming in, I remind everybody to please like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Give a super chat if you'd like to give a super chat and have your take show up first or prominently, and we'll make sure we absolutely take it on the show. If you haven't joined our Patreon or YouTube membership yet, please do so. Patreon's only $5 starting out, and YouTube membership is just $2.99. Get access to exclusive content right here. The Voice of College Football. All right. We've got a couple of comments here. I am going to remind everybody to call the show. I'll take a handful of callers today, so come on in. And let's go with take number one. All right. So one thing that I wanted to kind of just highlight right off the bat is the Joel Klatt boa constrictor comparison, because this was another game in which Indiana kind of hung around. They even won the first quarter, really. They had more plays. They had more yards by far than Michigan, and looked like that they were putting something together. And then Michigan settled. They understood what the new offensive coordinator was doing, and we started seeing a shift, right? And obviously, when you kind of start looking at all the plays and what started to happen in the second quarter, you started seeing Loveland make catches. Colston Loveland is a clutch player that JJ always goes to when in need. Blake Corum continuing to do what he does, including with not just inside runs, but perimeter runs. The defense started settling down, and Makari Page and Kenneth Grant started really imposing their will on Indiana. And then they started just making these medium-range throws to Tyler Morris, check downs to Donovan Edwards, and it was like 15 yards here, 20 yards here, fake handoff to I believe it was Corum, to the throw to Roman Wilson. And it just kind of continued along that front until Indiana's defense finally just broke wide open, and Michigan just started intercepting and scoring defensive points. And really, the Colston Loveland improvisational touchdown for 54 yards was really impressive. I thought that was, when Jim Harbaugh said about JJ and like, I'm not going to change how JJ plays because he's a gunslinger. That 54-yarder to Colston Loveland was the definitive moment, I thought, of that. So a lot to dive into here. Obviously, we've got some commenters. We've got Moose, who is a great friend of the show. Should Michigan be number one? Yeah. Are they gonna be? No. Georgia's going to be number one until they lose. I believe that. Common opponent, Michigan showed OSU how to beat IU. Of course, Buckeyes will say in response to that, they played them when it was Ohio State's first game with a new quarterback. But yeah, it was a much better defeat. Michigan is going to win the Natty. I mean, I'm going to break down some areas of concern, but it's looking good. And the boa constrictor analogy is really perfect because like I said, sometimes teams will hang around. They'll give you their best punch in the first quarter, but Michigan just starts getting you. And once the boa constrictor gets you, that's it. Exactly, Josephine. Thanks for being here. Boa constrictor. 52-7 is better than 23-3. I agree with that. That's good math. That's good math there, Moose. We appreciate you being here. For those of you just joining, welcome to Michigan Postgame Live here at the Voice of College Football. Final score 52-7. Michigan imposing their will starting in the second quarter and never giving up against the Indiana Hoosiers. Here's my second take. I'm concerned about our secondary. I'm concerned about the allowance where it looked a little soft in coverage early on in the first quarter. And I believe that if that was done against a real team, a Penn State and Ohio State, it could have been 14-3 or worse where the opponent was winning. Can't have that in the first quarter. I understand. By the way, I know what you're going to say. But John, it was a new offensive coordinator. They were playing vanilla to see what the offensive coordinator does and then adjust accordingly. It's Indiana. You got to stop Indiana. I don't care. Okay? You stop Indiana. You don't let them score a touchdown. And again, like I said, if it's like that against Penn State, we're in trouble because they actually are not going to false start and go from 3rd and 7 to 3rd and 12. They are not going to throw the ball to the other team. They aren't going to shoot themselves in the foot and do face masks or hands to the face penalties and these things that then pushed Indiana back. And Indiana couldn't afford to do any of that if they wanted to win the game, right? So Penn State wouldn't, and Ohio State probably wouldn't have done any of those things. And then we'd have a very different ball game. I agree. Tom, you're right. The slow starts do need to stop. I mean, again, boa constrictor and everything else, and you're going to get, every team's best punch in the first quarter. But, yeah, it's worrisome. It is. I mean, look, the domination in the 3 quarters after that, I mean, it's more nitpicking than it is anything else. But it's something that we've got to look at and monitor as we go. Rutgers, congratulations on being 5-2. We did have friend of the show, Christian Dyer, a couple of weeks ago on Michigan Wolverines Live from Rutgers Wire, who was talking about this maybe being the best Rutgers team in this era of Schiano. And I think we're seeing that here. Reminder to subscribe to our new channels on YouTube, SEC at the Voice of College Football and Big 12 at the Voice of College Football. Time for our appreciation station. And I know I'm missing people, but appreciation station time for Blake Corum, Roman Wilson, and Colston Loveland. Let's go. Blake Corum, every week, he shows you why he wanted to come back. He didn't want the last opportunity at Michigan to be that cold, snowy Illinois game where he got injured. And then, of course, the 2 plays he was in against Ohio State. I mean, I understand that he didn't want that to be his lasting memory. I completely understand that. Just to look at, kind of go down the stat sheet here, Blake Corum did have 2 touchdowns for 52 yards, 13 carries. I mean, and he is used in a lot of those like 1 yard, get me 2 yards. So you're not going to see as high a yard average per carry. Like Ben Hall had 6.4 per carry. Well, yeah, because it's slightly that was later in the game when Indiana's defense was completely gassed. Blake Corum is punching in for duty every week, and we love to see it. Roman Wilson taking the step up. I mean, man, he is looking as good as any Ohio State wide receiver right now. I'd put him up there with MHJ. I'd put him up there with Emeka Egbuka. I'd put him up there with anybody. And I know you're going to say Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going to go second overall in the draft. Yes, he is. But I think Roman Wilson is playing extremely good football right now. And you need at least one good wide receiver if you're going to make it all the way. Colston Loveland, the reason he's on this appreciation station is because he is just every time we're in Michigan's in trouble, anytime that JJ's in trouble and it's 3rd and 9 or it's 3rd and 6 or whatever, and JJ, maybe he's getting pressured, Colston Loveland is there to be automatic. He catches the ball almost every single time. And so these three need to stay healthy and stay going and help our JJ Goat Carthy make it to the national championship. Let's see. Yeah, well, Josh Wallace, he looked okay in this game, I thought. But when Amarian Walker came in, when some of, like, obviously compared to Will Johnson, he's not as good. We know that. So he hasn't shown like the flashes that I would want to see, but he's not terrible either. But I think you're right. Let's see. Yeah, Walker looked good when he was in. Exactly. Walker looked good. He's making improvements because he, as far as I'm concerned, he wasn't that great in the spring game and early on, but it looks like he's starting to make some strides. Take number 4. This is just a reminder that anybody can call the show at any time. You don't need your camera on. You can just do audio. Carson Barnhart had a terrible game. We can't run away from that. Go back and watch the film on those sacks and look at who was letting the defense in every single time. Practically. I think he allowed 3 sacks. I'm sure I could look it up, but I believe it was around 3. He just kept getting beat. He kept getting beat. He kept letting, he gave JJ no time. And that's why one of the reasons why the first quarter was going Indiana's way to that extent. Carson Barnhart was getting beat. Yeah. JJ is able to escape a lot. He's able to get away and he's able to run. But we can't run away from the fact that this is not the play that we expect from Carson Barnhart. And especially when Trente Jones is battling and wants that job, let's be honest, he looked a little rough. We've got our first caller, friend of the program, Moose is in the house. Go Blue.
What's up, John?
Hey, so yeah, that was some game, huh?
Yeah, I can't lie. The first quarter we looked really flat, but
Yeah.
I love how we responded though in the second quarter, 21-0 run, and just pretty much really just shut them out the rest of the game. I mean, you heard Joe Klatt talking about boa constrictor, man. I think he's spot on that little thing.
So you were talking about when we were talking during the game, you were talking about Carson Barnhart and the fact that he kept getting beat. And this isn't Penn State's defense. This isn't Ohio State's defense because Knowles has taken a step up the second year. No, this is
Right.
Indiana. And Carson Barnhart kept getting beat by Indiana.
Yeah, Barnhart did not have a good game. I think he gave up like 3 or 4 sacks. Yeah, he wasn't good.
Yeah, and especially when you've got Trente there, and Trente wants the job, and they've been fighting. Honestly, Moose, they've been fighting for that right tackle position for like 2.5 years. Like they've been fighting for that right tackle position seemingly forever.
Well, we thought Barnhart had solidified it the way he was playing those last couple games, and then here comes Indiana, and man, I don't know if he was just slipping. If it was, I don't like to blame the weather on it. I don't like to make weather excuses, but I don't know. Maybe he just didn't look good today. Maybe he just had a bad game. I don't know. But
Yeah,
maybe we should try to put Trente Jones in there, see what he can do. I don't know.
yeah, it's possible you flip him around. Trente at right
Yeah,
tackle, Carson Barnhart at the sixth, because right now Trente's in the sixth position anyway. So like you
right.
flip him out. Carson Barnhart's going to get a lot of snaps no matter what. So as long as he's a starter, he's going to get snaps whether he's right tackle or he's in the sixth position.
I tell you, I tell you what, man. A guy that's not starting, who I have my eye on, is Keon Sabb. Man, that guy has really come along.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll skip around to that take. Yeah, so in addition to Kenneth Grant, who I think is going to be playing on Sundays when he's able to graduate or when he's able to leave, yeah, Keon Sabb, Mason Graham, and Michael Barrett. I have all of them because they all made plays. And Keon Sabb was definitely at the top of that honorable mentions list for sure. I mean, because I didn't expect him to break out the way that he's been breaking out this year.
And Grant almost got a sack, but he kind of stumbled and almost fell down. He was getting some pressure today too, just not as much as he normally does. Samaj Morgan is another guy I've been really liking, man. He's a star in the making.
Yeah. So they've been talking about all their freshman wide receivers in super glowing terms in the interviews. Whether it's Morgan, whether it's Carmelo English,
Yeah, English too.
Moore as well. All three of them. They're talking about them in glowing terms, and they're probably going to be our next starters once everybody else goes to the NFL, because they look really good. I mean, Tyler Morris will probably will remain the starter in that position, but the other two will be up for grabs. So I think they're all fighting for that ability to hopefully be in that slot in that position, the X and Z position next year.
I'm wondering, John, if Wallace or whoever is playing the other corner besides Will Johnson keeps struggling, do you put Keon Sabb on the other side? Do you test him out?
Why not? Might as well.
I think he's more than capable of just how well he's been playing right now.
Yeah. I think anything's up for possibility. We've got Sparty next week. So
Yeah.
that's an opportunity to maybe fine tune that out before you get to the really, really tough games. And we'll also be playing Purdue in the near future. So like those are the games where you make experiments like that. You don't want to be making them once you get to
Right.
the toughest three at the end, because I say all three of them are going to be hard games: Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State.
Yeah. If you're gonna test the waters, this is the time to be doing it when you're playing less talented teams.
Rob says that Keon Sabb is better roaming. So I mean, I trust Jesse Minner. I think he's earned that at this point, and whatever he decides to do with the personnel, he knows. At this point, I trust him. I mean, compare this to 3 years ago and what we were seeing on the defense, and it's not even close. Emmanuel Ocho questioning if Michigan can handle a shootout game. I mean, they just scored 52. I know some of that was defense, but they scored 52. Can they handle a shootout? Are they going to have a shootout until the playoff?
They're not going to need one, probably.
Probably not. I mean, okay, let's go through the hardest games really quick, and then we'll keep going on the takes. But okay, so Penn State, right? That's going to be in my opinion, the toughest because you go to Beaver Stadium. It's a very hostile
I think
atmosphere.
I think so too.
It's going to be a tough game, but here's my thing. Almost every single player that whooped Penn State last year's back. Meanwhile, on the Penn State side, a lot of some of their key positions went to the NFL. They still have Olu Fashanu on the O line. He's very good, and obviously, I think they did take a slight step up at quarterback, going from Sean Clifford.
Yeah, they do have a better
Allen.
quarterback.
He's a better quarterback.
I wouldn't say like head and shoulders better, but he's definitely better.
So let's say Michigan doesn't get 417 rushing yards. Let's say they get 250. Okay. And that would probably be a lot of Blake Corum, a little bit of Donovan Edwards, and then maybe you get some Ben Hall action in there, or some, maybe 20 is back. Khalil, but either way, let's say it's only 250 this time, which I think is about right. Okay, then you've got JJ in the pass game. So he's good for probably 200 yards in the pass game too. So, I mean, I just don't see how Penn State's able to hang in the second half. I think they might even be win, just like last year. They might win in the first half. But Michigan is like, there's just too many people who are on the same team that just destroyed, crushed them last year.
And you know what I'm thinking, John? Aller is definitely the better. He's the better pocket passer than Clifford.
Sure,
but Clifford has something that Aller don't have: run ability to be able to escape the pocket, and I think that's going to be big for Michigan. Aller don't have that speed that Clifford has, and you remember last year the only time they burned us was when Clifford had a weird run, like fluke run. That was it.
Yep, they had the big fake that turned into a QB run that was 65, 66 yards, something like that. And folks, expect that James Franklin will have another play or two like that, because he's good for at least a couple of them every game. So don't freak out if Michigan's behind by 3 or 7 after the first half. Like, I will be just okay if especially away, if they're behind by 3 or 7, because I know what they're going to do in the second half. So that game I don't think is going to be a shootout. Maryland, I just don't see how Talia is going to throw any less than 3 picks, and they'll score 18, 20 points. But Michigan's going to be probably in the 50s again. So, maybe.
I honestly don't think they score more than 14 on their defense, honestly. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, Josephine, Michigan defense is only allowing 6.7 points per game. I mean, it's absurd and ridiculous how few points they're allowed. And I know, and the Buckeyes and everybody are going to say, but you ain't played nobody. But I don't care. Georgia ain't played nobody really except Kentucky.
Right.
Michigan. Hey, Rutgers just won. Yeah. So there you go. Rutgers just beat Sparty.
John, they're not looking at the bigger picture. Okay, so we haven't played the greatest competition. But look at the scores that we're beating them by. Look at how badly we're beating them, though. Michigan is shattering the eye test. It's not even close.
Yeah. And then when we get to Ohio State, and in my simulation, this game came down like Ohio State was winning the game until about 3 or 4 minutes in the fourth quarter when I did the video game. And then Michigan pulled off the win at the end. Blake Corum had a last minute, a touchdown run close to the end, and then they sealed it with a field goal. I could see it happening like that this year. Their defense is really good, and their offense is not as good as last year, but Obviously, when you're going from CJ Stroud to anybody, it's probably going to be a step down. But Kyle McCord's looking better.
Yeah.
So I think it could be a closer game this time, or it could be a complete and total devastating shellacking. But regardless, I just don't see it as if there's going to be a shootout, it would probably be that one. But I don't know.
I think it could be closer, but I still think Michigan. I just think Michigan's just got too much talent, man. Even on the road, I think they're going to win comfortably. I'm not going to say they're going to win by 24, but I think they win by at least 14, 17 against Penn State.
Thank you, Adam.
And I'm looking.
Yes, we know that.
I'm looking at this Indiana game. Michigan looked really flat in the first quarter. Okay, they were 7-0 Indiana, 7-0 Indiana in the first quarter. The next three quarters, 52-0 Michigan. Wow. You want to talk about being dominated?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was dominating. And you look at everything here. You look at total points per game. Again, it's like 407 to 232. Pass yards up by 100. Rushing yards up by 70. Yards per play almost double. Some of them were pretty close. Like total plays, Michigan was only up by 2. And the time of possession was a lot closer this time than last time too. Indiana was on the field a lot more than our last two opponents were on the field. So because it was like 38 minutes before 36 minutes.
You gotta give Indiana's D some credit. They were playing really good in the first quarter, man. They were. I think we was getting like not even 2 yards of carry in the first quarter. I was like, wow. And I was talking to you about that. Like, this has to change in the second half. And man, they sure did change.
All right, let's look at. I think we need to address the elephant in the room. The folks, Donovan Edwards. I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's residual from the injury. But Ben Hall, until Khalil Mullings comes back, Ben Hall looks like he could be taking over at running back.
Yeah. Ben Hall was beast mode out there, man.
I mean,
I don't know what's going on with Edwards, man. I really don't. I think it's the lingering. I don't think it's something to do with his injury, man. I think it's lingering. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Ben Hall had the most yards out of any rusher today, which is notable because normally it's Blake. But Blake did have the 2 touchdowns. Donovan did have 33 receiving yards, and that's how he's going to be used, I think, Moose, moving forward, is he's going to be used as this kind of receiving threat. Because when you have Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards both in the field at the same time, there's a lot you can do with that. A lot of misdirection.
What was the total rushing yards we had for the game?
So total rushing yards, something like 140, 150. Let's see.
That's not too bad.
160.
That's not too bad.
163.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad.
No, it got better later.
We could have done better, but it's still 160. That's not too bad.
Yeah, they'll keep in. Yeah, they probably will. But I'm just going on what I've seen so far, which is I think that both Ben Hall and when Khalil Mullings is healthy, they're both looking really good between the like in the inside run game as well.
I think so too.
Ben Hall in particular, it's going to be hard keeping him on the bench. That is a special player, I believe, and honestly, I'm surprised he hasn't seen a little bit more game time. But he's a special player.
And I really feel bad for Donovan because he helped us. He did so much for us last year, and he's just not himself right now, man. I think Jim doesn't want to. He doesn't want to bench him like that. I think
Yeah.
he's for his psyche, and I
Yeah.
can understand that. But if you're not producing, man, it's always it is what it is. It's the next man up. So whoever's producing is going to get playing time.
So JJ McCarthy in the game obviously wasn't. Again, we're not asking JJ to do 50, 60 throws a game. It's 14 for 17. But in those 14, he got 222 passing yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And that's
not too
not counting
shabby.
his running yards either. He had 27 on the ground too. So there was one play, Moose, that I wanted to highlight that JJ did. And it was there was a 54-yarder, the 54-yarder to Colston Loveland when Indiana was coming after him. JJ's directing traffic. He's saying, let's make this, because the design play got blown up by Indiana. So the design play was gone. But JJ knows how to improvise. And his buddy Colston Loveland, who the connection between them, it's like automatic practically. He's telling him go right, like let's try to get a an audible route here, and boom, 54 yards. That's the type of play that you need to be a first round pick.
Yeah, what you was talking about when that play was designed to be like a kind of like a hitch, kind of like a stop route. And like you said, he got blown up. And JJ on the move, he's pointing directed traffic, telling Colson, go, go, go. And then Colson just goes to the fade and he just hits him deep. That was a nice play by JJ. He's very good at communicating.
Something was discussed on the I don't know if you watched the Iowa show where Corey Brado was talking with Mark about people being really excited about JJ to the point where it's getting excessive. But like I don't think y'all understand how long it's been since we've had a quarterback this dynamic.
I don't know, John. Am I sensing a little bit of jealousy by Corey and Mark a little bit? I don't know. I think that's what I'm seeing.
And Mark has to understand that he's had 3 all-time quarterbacks in the at Ohio State that basically back to back to back. And Corey, I mean, when was the last time Iowa had a quarterback that was like? And I love Corey, but it's
you have to go back a while.
You have to go back a while, and so like.
I think that's what it is. He's envious that we have a good quarterback. He doesn't.
Yeah. So JJ. I think we're all super happy that JJ is with us and on this team. He was going to go to Ohio State, but Ohio State said we're going to actually take Kyle McCord. And we're seeing the results of that. And I think we made the right decision. So here's this. Yeah, JJ was coming off surgery last year. Also was never 100% healthy. Yeah, and he also didn't have spring ball. Yeah, he didn't have any spring ball. And in fall camp, he was competing with Cade for the ones. So they were splitting the reps with the ones 50-50. That's never good for growth when you're a quarterback. If you have to compete for the job and you're competing with somebody, and it's tough because I think they kind of knew that JJ was probably going to be the quarterback by the Georgia playoff game, because when they benched Cade and put in JJ, to me that was it. Like you're putting JJ in a playoff game. That probably means they're going to make the switch soon. But they couldn't fully make the switch because Cade had won the locker room, so they had to do this audition thing, and it kind of set JJ back, I think, in being the best starting quarterback he could be, if I'm being honest.
Hey John, do you think Ohio State's kicking themselves right now for not getting JJ over McCord?
Yeah, I do. I think there. I
I
mean,
do too.
I think almost every Ohio State fan that I've talked to has a lot of respect for JJ. I mean, you have to after he took it to Columbus, and took it to the Buckeyes in Columbus, and they planted the flag. You kind of had to give JJ the respect on that one. So yeah, I mean, I think that they're probably wishing they took JJ. I asked
Oh
about it.
yeah.
I asked about it in one of the Buckeye podcasts, and quite a few of them said they wish they had JJ. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I know if I was an Ohio State fan, I'd be like, what the hell were we thinking?
Absolutely. Just a reminder, folks, that at about 11:30, 11:45 p.m. Eastern tonight, we do a wrap-up show with Mark Rogers, voice of college football, and everybody calls in and gives their take on the day's football. So please do that. There's some really good games, obviously, coming up here. I'm about to basically make switches and all the TVs here to have like the best games I can get. Obviously, Oregon, Washington is going to be an interesting one to watch. Iowa,
Iowa whiskey.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on
so
right now.
some good games, coming up here. So any final thoughts for you, Moose, before we wrap?
No, just a really, really, really great game today by Michigan, even though they struggled in the first quarter. But man, did they come on strong the next three quarters. There's some things that they're gonna need to clean up in practice, but I think they'll be fine for next week. So big win and for Go Blue, man. Good big win for Michigan.
Absolutely, and everybody can follow you on Twix, right?
Yep. Follow me on Twix, if you guys like my content. I do mostly recruiting on Twix, but you want to follow me, feel free.
Absolutely, and so you're next going to see me Monday night for Big Ten Live. I host a show called the Ocho from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, and we bring on members of the community and have a panel discussion about the Big Ten games that were just played. So we'll do the Ocho. Our new time, Michigan Wolverines Live, Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. This week, we have a special guest, Ryan Oblenis from Spartans Illustrated, is going to be joining us to give the Michigan State take, and we'll go over the keys to the game. This actually feels like at least a slightly more interesting matchup because it's a rivalry game, and obviously a lot of things going on. So definitely check that out. We've 30-minute war is on pause right now, but we are hoping to resurrect that in a couple of weeks. And a couple of final reminders as we go and start to watch these other games. Obviously, when you're doing your shopping on Amazon, which many of us do from time to time, please go on to the description in any video and use the Mark Rogers Amazon link. That way, Mark gets a couple of bucks. And what is wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. We do have a sponsor called Ticket Smarter. So when you're getting your tickets for your games, put in promo code BIG for $10 off a purchase of at least $100 and BIG20 for $20 off a purchase of at least $300. And don't forget to check out our merch store because we have some incredible products for the whole family here at Voice of College Football. We've got T-shirts, we've got pint glasses, we've got mugs, we've got hoodies. And then, of course, you've got the main channel, Voice of College Football, and all kinds of diverse merchandise, candles, aprons, cases for your phone, you name it. We've probably got it. Check out the merch store. A lot of our loyal, faithful watchers have already bought something. So definitely do that. Today, I don't have a merch on, but I do have my 2012 Michigan shirt. Remember 2012? Back when I was still in Ann Arbor, bought this one. All right. Let's see if we have any final comments before we wrap. Looks like Washington is up on Oregon 7-0. That's pretty exciting. And Penn State 7-up on the 7-0 on the Fighting Don Browns. So those are the two games I've got right this second. Pretty exciting stuff. All right. Let's see. He missed spring, summer. He came back during fall camp. Yes. San Fran is good, but I wish your wide receivers didn't cry during the off season. Okay. I don't exactly remember who cried. But yeah, San Francisco 49ers are a great team, and they're probably going to be a Super Bowl team. I mean, they look pretty ridiculous right now. Yeah, the Huskies, Michael Penix, they look great. Obviously, Oregon is going to score. They're going to put up a defensive fight, but this is looking good so far. I mean, Washington's looking good, and someone's got to lose. You know, this feels like it's a 5-0 versus 5-0 matchup, a ranked matchup. Somebody's got to lose, and somebody's got to win. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks, Moose, for talking about the Amazon link and the Voice of College Football merch store. It's all right there, folks. Nothing's stopping you from going on in there and doing that. Yeah. Ohio State, Penn State next week should provide some answers. I agree. That's going to really see. I mean, we're really going to see what each team is made of. Looks like we're still trying to find our second corner. Yes. Absolutely. I don't think Josh Wallace is going to be the starting corner forever, starting CB2 forever. Marion Walker could take it, and we have other options too. So it's not completely set in stone. All right. I'm going to let you all go watch Oregon, Washington, some of the other exciting matchups we've got here. Reminder, of course, like I said, that at 11:30 tonight, we'll have the wrap-up call-in show with Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football. My name is John Diadamo. I was your host today. Check me out on Twitter, Twix, at John Diadamo. I have just passed 1,000 followers, and I'm looking to keep my follower count going. So if you enjoyed this content and what I try to put out there every episode of these shows, do me a favor and just follow me on Twix, so that we can get that up, and I can reach even more people with our shows that we do every week. Michigan Postgame Live, Michigan Wolverines Live Tuesdays at 8, the Ocho Big Ten Live on Mondays. All right, folks. We will see you Monday night. And like I said, join the call-in show. If you haven't liked this video, please like the video on your way out, because that is how we are going to amplify this content. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Okay? It's that easy. And until next time, folks, John Diadamo saying, go blue. Enjoy the rest of the day, football.